Hey guys, today we're ranking the 8 best one-shot spells from the first season of Black Clover. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I've recently been catching up on this series, and I gotta say, since the dungeon arc, I've been completely hooked. So in honor of my newfound love for this show, I thought I'd do a one-shot list in much the same way I did for My Hero Academia. Just to reiterate though, this list is from Season 1 specifically, though there is one spell from Season 2 purely because it was a direct continuation from the Season 1 finale. I don't make the rules, people, alright? It's above me now. Also, I'd appreciate no spoilers for Season 2 or 3 on the comments of this video. Okay, so starting at 8th place, we have a spell used by Lagus, who made his debut in the finale of Season 1. So this guy uses lightning magic, and despite being all but murdered by Yuno, the spell I'm talking about is very capable of one-shotting multiple magic knights, as we can see him doing in this panel here. During the invasion of Kiten, a protective barrier was erected around the town and was maintained by the power of 50 magic knights. Now in the face of that, Lagus used his lightning creation magic to conjure up this spell, which is way too long for me to say in full, but the point is he creates a giant magic lightning bow, which is equipped with 6 gigantic arrows, and this was able to not only shoot through the barrier with ease, but also decimate the ground below, and like I said, take out some purple orcas in the process. I was genuinely impressed when I first saw this spell because, like, how are all these magic knights, like 50 magic knights, not able to stop this one man with this one spell? I mean, I should probably mention that he's one of the 8 Shining Generals of the Diamond Kingdom, and we're told that this is the equivalent to being a Magic Knight captain. But with that said, that makes this moment right here all the more tragic. Moving on to 7th, we have a spell so epic that it gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it, like actual goosebumps. The Sea Dragon's Roar was first used by Noelle to disarm Vetto, and yeah, I do mean that literally. Even though she's royalty, Noelle has always struggled to control her magic, ever since a young age. This seeming lack of innate skill was enough to have her verbally abused by her family pretty much her whole life, and I cannot tell you how much I wanted to slap this guy. Now, the whole underwater temple arc, that was amazing for Noelle's development, as she was the only one who could actually transport everyone to the underwater temple, and then when in the temple, she discovered for the first time that she has an attack spell. The Sea Dragon's Roar was a one-shot spell for many reasons. I mean, Vetto is a member of the Third Eye, which by default makes him one of the strongest characters we've ever seen, and by this point he'd effortlessly resisted attacks from Lark, Magna, and the Sea Temple guy. So the fact that Noelle was able to break through his defensive magic, rip off his arm, and then crash through the walls of the Sea Temple, like, this was certainly a spell that could one-shot someone if used accurately. Firing into 6th place, we have one of Fuegoleon's spells, and I'm going to be upfront here guys, there's a lot of bias involved here because Fuegoleon to me is the coolest Magic Knight captain there is, like, period. His flame magic was on full display during the attack on the royal capital, and he used it to incinerate several powerful puppets being controlled by wraith magic. Many of the spells he displayed could be classified as one-shot, including this one here which is just visually amazing, but I want to turn your attention to the Sol Linea attack, of which the Japanese translation literally means sunbeam of the miniature sun. Why is this guy so cool? This spell delivers a concentrated beam of fire and it pierced through the barrier of a resurrected corpse. Now this was interesting because this corpse used to be a defense magic expert and it had been brought back from the dead and then had its barrier enhanced by curse magic. So although Fuegoleon's skill was a big factor in being able to pierce this barrier, no one can deny that being able to break through this in any scenario, you have to be pretty overpowered. The Sol Linea attack was enough to incinerate this corpse after only making one hit, and in the anime we see it used to destroy a horde of zombies in one strike. So yeah, not much more to it than that. It's definitely one of the best one-shots we saw this season. At 5th place we have a pretty interesting one, and it has some notable differences from the rest of this list. So rather than instantly piercing or dismembering the opponent in some way, this spell absorbs their magic and then grows a tree around their body. And we saw the Captain of the Golden Dawn use this to kill one of the Shining Generals of the Diamond Kingdom. Yeah, the Diamond Kingdom has taken some massive L's in this series. Now, Mistltein Seed is an awesome one-shot spell that requires minimal effort from the user. Like, if we do a slow motion replay right here, all he did was casually throw this seed, he didn't even put his back into it. And as if that wasn't enough, because the spell seemingly converts the person into a tree in some way by using their magic, I have to say this is probably one of the most eco-friendly attacks we've ever seen. Personally, I found tree magic to be really creative and intriguing, and I gotta give credit to the mangaka for being so creative because if you had told me about the idea of offensive tree magic, I would have assumed that it'd either be really weak or pretty worthless. Not that I have anything against trees, but it's not like something like fire or electricity where you can clearly see how it could be harmful. But the way that William Vengeance has used this so far from what I've seen, it's got me thinking that tree magic is actually very, very useful. Moving on to 4th, we have a few spells from Licht, who is clearly the overarching antagonist of Season 1 and beyond. Licht possesses powerful light magic that, among other things, allows him to teleport at light speed. At least I assume this is light speed, if not, I'm going to be really disappointed. When we first properly get a look at him, he uses these darts made of light to stab Asta in the leg and basically just destroy this sister. He was hitting everyone with these things. And I'm sure in the right circumstances, if it hit like a vital organ, this could be a one-shot spell, but I have to say that everyone I just mentioned who got hit by these things did survive. However, his finishing move, this spell was acknowledged as too fast for Yami or Asta to evade. Do you know how strong a spell has to be for Yami to not bother to try and fight back? Just think about that. So in this situation, to use the spell, he charged up the light between his hands for a period of time and then released this massive concentrated beam of light. Good thing that Ghost was able to show up and reflect it, but I think we can all acknowledge that had he not done that, both Yami and Asta would have been disintegrated by this thing. And it's probably worth noting that he did have another one-shot spell in Season 1, but we didn't actually get to see its full capability because he was sealed away, so he couldn't really use it. And so I don't really count that on this list, but I do acknowledge that 4 Magic Knight captains seemingly believed that they would not be able to stop it. Moving into the top 3, the bronze medal goes to our very special boy and this bit of spirit magic which we first saw used in the dungeon exploration arc. So in this moment, Asta was about to be one-shotted by Mars after already suffering a pretty serious injury. Anyone who could have saved him was either trapped inside a crystal or just unable to do so. But Yuno, in typical Yuno fashion, manages to bust out of the crystal and then out of nowhere, it looks like time is frozen. This is of course where we meet Sylph for the first time, and she casually blows some air which then shatters this massive crystal sword and Mars's crystal armor in the process. From what I've seen, spirit magic is just like on a different level to everything else, because to be able to shatter this giant thing with a single breath, I can only imagine what happens when she sneezes. We see them use this attack again during Yuno's battle with this witch, and while it didn't exactly one-shot her as in kill her, she did have to use up all of her magic to survive the attack, which turned her from looking like this to looking like this. So overall I have no regret in saying that this spell can do a lot of damage and is definitely capable of being a one-shot attack. At second place, we have a spell possessed by the Wizard King himself, who only showed off his powers once during Season 1, and I think this moment was quite similar to when Mirio whipped the entirety of Class 1A, because Julius appears out of nowhere, right? And then he instantly wastes a couple of Eye of the Midnight Sun members. Now, the Wizard King uses time magic, which is clearly as epic as it sounds, and this particular spell wasn't given a name from what I could remember, but when I watched this, like, I can't remember if I laughed or gasped, probably a combination of both to be honest, because it was so absurd and just like out of the blue, because we hadn't seen his power or magic at this point, so yeah, it was a really shocking moment, but pretty funny as well. There's a part of this whole scene that we didn't see in the anime, but when I read back the manga, I did actually notice when Licht appears, the manga shows us that Julius creates another one of these time balls, which is obviously how Licht ended up with his disfigured arm, which we did see in the anime, but we didn't see how it went down or what spell Julius used. So yeah, I mean, this, whatever this is called, amazing. I assume the way it works is that he like fast forwards their lifespan until they're like just nothing. And now, after a lot of talk, let's get into the best one-shot spell in Season 1 of Black Clover. As I'm sure you all remember, during the Underwater Temple arc, Vetto was about to self-destruct and just blow the place up, having been thoroughly beaten by the teamwork of the Black Bulls. But the entire time, Yami was unavailable due to being trapped by this spatial magic user. So once he did eventually escape, he pushed past his limits and learnt this new one-shot spell, which has an amazing name. So this is the Dark Cloaked Dimension Slash, and honestly, it was just absurd. So this was able to cut straight through Vetto, like it sliced him right down the middle. And remember that Licht even said the members of the Third Eye, their strength surpasses even his own. But as Yami said, it doesn't matter how strong the person receiving this spell is, because you're getting one-shotted through the dimensions. Like, look at the line that's left in the ground here. Honestly, so cool. I'm sure if you're this far into the video, you already know this, but Yami uses dark magic, and this right here was one of the many examples that just validated his insane strength. On a side note, it's pretty surprising to me that Yami is only 28. Like, you can't tell me he doesn't have powerful middle-age energy. With that said, those are the 8 best one-shot spells in Season 1 of Black Clover, in my opinion. There were many others to choose from, but these ones right here stood out to me especially. Let me know any that you think might deserve a place on this list, and do let me know in the comments if you want me to do more Black Clover content. I was initially planning to get fully up to date with this series before doing a video, but I couldn't help myself on this one, so I just made it, even though I haven't finished Season 2 yet. That being said, in about a month's time, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks maybe, I will be doing more Black Clover content if you guys like it, if it has a good reception and gets a decent amount of views. If you like it and want to see more of this, be sure to like. Catch you next week. Peace.